everybody, today I have a really special lesson. Well, it's kind of special. It's a remake of the first ever video I did on this channel in November of 2012. So it's been quite a long time since I recorded that on my iPod Touch. The quality's a little bit better, at least hopefully, than that. This is Send Me On My Way by Rusted Root. It's a great song because the tabs themselves are not that hard. I think most beginners should be able to play it. It's a little bit tricky, but not too bad for beginners. But the great thing about this song is you can really add a lot of layers to it that makes it a more difficult song to play and a more interesting song to hear. So I'm going to teach him several different ways just as a beginner from the tabs. I'll teach him more intermediate way and then the way I play it, which is not terribly advanced, but it's more advanced at least than the tabs. So let's get right into it. We start with the two major chord shapes that we're going to be using, a C major and an F major. And that's pretty much the entirety of the song other than the chorus. So, and in that you only have to worry about 3 other chord shapes. So the chord's fairly simple. C major. If you don't know what a C major is, 3 on the A string, 2 on the D string, open G string, and first on the B string. Just like that. And I use ring finger, middle finger, and index finger. And then what's nice about this F major shape is that all you have to do is move your 2 middle fingers, or your middle finger and your ring finger, over one string. So now you have an open A string. You don't really play the open A. You could, but you usually start with the root note here. So you have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string still. So you don't move your index finger. Just move these 2 fingers from here to there. And that's the switch. And that's it, pretty much. So the tabs say to hit on the C major shape first. You hit the A string and the B string together. Then you have the G string. And then use your pinky to hit the 3rd fret of the high E string. So just put your pinky right there. See that? So it's more of a C add 9 now. But it's still a C major. So you have you take a rest, then you hit the high E string again, and then move your pinky over just one string to the B string, so on the 3rd fret of the B string, right there. This is more of a C add 9, I guess. So far we've got this. And hit that twice. And then repeat that again. And then pretty much do the exact same thing with the F major shape. So now together you'll have still the B string, and now it'll be the D string as well. Right there. Hit those together, and then hit the G string, and then have the same. It's the exact same pattern where you have the 3 on the high E twice, and then 3 on the B string twice. So then do that again. So in total, those 2 chord shapes sound like this. And that's pretty much the song. So that repeats throughout most of the verses. There is a variation where you strum it instead, but up to speed it sounds kind of like this. And you might notice that I'm starting to do a kind of more advanced technique with my thumb. So I'm hitting the root note with every note, so So even that adds a lot to the depth of the song. So without it, it sounds like. But with it, it sounds like. So that's just one thing you can add if you find this easy enough. So add the thumb a little bit more. The only other part to worry about in the song, well, there's two kind of, is the chorus, which is. And that's pretty much it for the chorus. It starts with this A minor shape. If you don't know what that is, it's like an E major, but only moved over one string. If you don't know what an E major is, let's start with the A minor, actually. So you have your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string. Still, it hasn't really moved this whole song. So you can use this as kind of a pivot. Use your index finger to stabilize where you are in the song, because until you get to this G major chord shape, you won't have to move it at all. So if you're struggling, focus on your index finger as being kind of home base, because all the chord changes shouldn't change that until the G major. So you have the A minor, you go to G major. The timing's a bit weird here. I think it's a dotted quarter, so you go from G major to F major. If you don't know what G major is, you have middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string. You have your index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. You have the open D and open G strings, and you have 3rd fret on both the B and the high E. And you go from there to an F major bar chord shape, which has your index finger barring the 1st fret. You have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, your pinky right next to it on the 3rd fret of the D string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your index finger covers the 1st fret of the B and high E. And that, those are all the chords for the chorus. So the strumming pattern's kind of weird. I would listen to the song if I were you. I'm not a very good strumming pattern teacher because I kind of make my own pattern, but I kind of play it like this. Slowly, this is what it would sound like. After that, you go back to the A minor shape, then you end on the G major. So that's one pass of the chorus, and the second pass is very similar. The only difference here is you stay on this G major shape for longer. And then you go back to. Okay, so those are the verses and the chorus. The only other thing to teach would be that you end up strumming. The same exact chords and changes as when you played. Instead, you're just strumming it. Which can be kind of difficult because it involves a little bit of muting. And to achieve this, you just kind of release pressure on the strings without actually letting them go. So you have. Or you could just strum it. Okay, and that's pretty much the entirety of the song. You've got the chorus. And then you have and that's it. So if that's enough for you, you can stop right there. I'm going to teach some of the percussive elements that I do. So if you want to learn those, then stick around. So what I'm doing there is using the palm, the heel, I guess, of my hand as a driving bass drum. And if that's enough for you, then you can just do that. I'm also adding a hammer on with my middle finger on the second fret of the G string every now and then. It kind of just adds a little bit of detail. But it's not actually in the tabs. So with this percussive element, it's important to keep some of the strings muted because you don't want to just be going. You might want to be doing that, and if that's the case, then go ahead and do it. But the way I mute the strings, I mute the low E string with my thumb, so my thumb curls around. Because without my thumb, you'd kind of get that low E ringing a lot, especially when you're doing. So I use my thumb as a mute. So. And after I hit with my palm, you extend with the other fingers, so it's kind of one motion where it's like a pop almost. You hit and release at the same time. And then in between I have a little percussive element when I mute the strings by I kind of wrap my pinky around the top strings, but you mostly just want your hands to lie flat against the strings. And so you can do just percussive elements like that. So in between the notes, I often do that kind of thing. So I have after I'm done with the F major shape, I often go, which, if you can see, I use my thumb here as kind of a bass or a tom. And then with my other fingers, often just maybe two or even one, I hit the bottom of the wood as a sort of snare sound. So. So that's how you get that effect. So you can do the same thing with the chorus. of hard to teach exactly what I'm doing because it's kind of just free form. I would recommend starting simple. Just try to get that steady bass. It's almost inaudible sometimes, and to make it louder, sometimes I use my thumb. You can also slap on the strings because you're muting the low E string for pretty much the whole song. So if you, it gives you more of a snap. But it is kind of tricky because you gotta keep that low E string muted. Other than that, I would say just practice it by yourself. I wouldn't get too stuck up on exactly what I'm doing or exactly what the strumming pattern is. Just kind of freeform it because it's going to sound more like you if you don't let the tabs or let what I teach put you in a cage. Just mess around with it. Just make some noise. It's a great song to experiment with. It's also a great song with a loop pedal. So if you have a loop pedal, I would recommend giving this song a try. But I think that's it for today. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. It's kind of tough to teach the exact percussive elements. But if you have any questions, I could make a lesson on just some percussive elements if that would help. Anyway, have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.